And welcome to At Issue. My name is H. Wayne Wilson, and we're glad to have you with us for a half-hour discussion on scouting, both Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. The organization's been around for a long time. Boy Scouts in America started in 1910, and Girl Scouts in America started in 1912. And to have the conversation, we have with us Greg Voisey. Greg is the Director of Sales for the WD Boys Council Boy Scouts of America, which is, how big of an area are we talking?
So we serve 14 counties in central Illinois.
And the Boys Council name comes from the founder of the American Boy Scouts?
Mm-hmm. Yep, W.D. Boyce himself. He resided in Ottawa, Illinois at one point, which is kind of where we got the name back in the 70s.
And what's the story about bringing Boy Scouts to America? He was in England, or?
Yep, so he was the London Fog story that everybody hears about. He was lost, and a Boy Scout helped guide his way, and he was so touched by that experience that him and a group of others, it just wasn't W.D. Boyce, but James E. West and other individuals came and started this organization that's been going since 1910.
All right, and we'll hear from Greg as the program goes on, but let's introduce first Pam Kovacevic. Pam is the CEO of the Girl Scouts of Central Illinois, which is how big?
We cover 38 counties in the middle of the state of Illinois.
And you have a history going back to 1912. Is there some, like W.D. Boyce founded the Boy Scouts of America, is there some significant event?
Juliette Gordon Low participated in some things in Europe with the Boy Scouts, with the original founder of the Boy Scouts, came back to the United States and saw the value that was available to girls over there, and she called a troop meeting, for lack of a better word, and said in Savannah, I have something for the girls of Savannah, the girls of the United States, and the girls of all the world, and she started the Girl Scouts.
So similar stories, actually.
Yes.
Let's start with a concern that is nationwide. I don't know how serious it is here in Central Illinois, but declining enrollment, or maybe membership is the better word. The Boy Scouts have dropped, these are numbers from 2014 to 2015, dropped 7% nationally. Cub Scouts were down 14% nationally in 1 year, 2014 to 2015. What impact has it had in Central Illinois?
Well, we've actually seen an increase in our enrollment. Last year we had a 3% enrollment, and 3% increase, and throughout Cub Scouting we had a much more significant increase. We introduced a brand new program called the Lion Program, which allows families to join in kindergarten. One of the things we were finding is the kids wanted to join as soon as school started in kindergarten, and we had that waiting year. So it's nationally, it's in its pilot program, but we have adopted it locally, and we've seen early tremendous success from it.
And Girl Scouts likewise hit a peak in 2003, dropped significantly since then. Locally, you went from approximately 4,900 in 2013 to about 4,100 in 2016. That's an 18% drop in the Girl Scouts of Central Illinois.
Correct.
Reasons behind that?
Our volunteer model, I think, contributes a lot to the declines we've recently experienced. While we still maintain a very healthy market share, healthier than the national average, the volunteer model that used to be a troop leader that was the parent of a girl, that has changed dramatically. So we offer a lot of our Girl Scout programming through the use of our own staff, through something called outreach. And we have to scale that to the economy available to fund it. And so we have had some declines in the outreach that is provided, as well as the troop experience, based on a lack of volunteers and the model where it used to be that mom that was the troop leader. We struggle to find volunteers that are willing to lead a troop.
And just to piggyback off of Pam, what we had to do in the Boy Scouts is we rewrote our entire Cub Scout program about 2 years ago. And one of the focuses was, how do we make it easier on the parents that might be working multiple jobs? So a couple of years ago, a task force got together and we released a brand new program that focuses on simplifying the program. So if you literally just got home from work and you had to run the Scouts, you could put on the meeting looking at the script or the book that night to try to put on the program.
And Greg, we must be taking leads from the Boy Scouts because we too have recently started something called a volunteer toolkit where they have their roster, their troop materials, their meeting list of who will be there right at their fingertips on their phone. It's called the Volunteer Toolkit. And now we too have tried to simplify the process because it can be an overwhelming task for someone new to the process.
And we have the same thing. We have an app now called Scoutbook, which does the same kind of tracking that you're talking about.
Exactly.
And there's so many more options out there for parents, not only in terms of encouraging their children, but in terms of volunteering themselves.
Absolutely. You know, competition for the time of girls really has grown exponentially in the last decade. We see junior high girls that have the option to do competitive everything, cheer, band, softball, and that's where we start to see the greatest number of decline is our junior high aged girls. Our K through 5 market continues to grow, and that is something that we are working to expand at that junior high level as well.
And kind of in reference to what Pam's talking about, so we have really worked really hard to make scouting flexible to the sports schedule. So if you want to go play basketball in the wintertime, great. Baseball in the spring, great. We've tried to make that flexibility, especially getting to the junior high level. You can do scouts and the sport of your choice. Because when you cross over to Boy Scouts at age 10 or 11, depending on when you get over to that 5th grade year, you have till you're 18 to work on the Eagle Scout Award. So we really put an emphasis on you don't have to drop everything you're doing. If you need to go for a few months and play sports, we have that flexibility.
And we'll talk about some of the levels of scouting in a moment. And just for the record, I was a Boy Scout. I made it up to Star Scout. I was one merit badge short of being a Life Scout. But high school got in the way. We'll talk about some of that competition for time. But I want to talk about funding first. In 2012, this is on a national level, 2012, the number 1 and number 9 donors to scouting cut back their funding. That was Intel and UPS. Have you seen a problem with underwriting or contributions on the local level, the Boys Council?
As a whole, no. One of the great parts about doing scouting in the Midwest is that we're so focused on program that I think a lot of our companies and donors see that we're doing great things for the community. We put 80,000 hours last year of community service back into the community. So I think that is some of the things that they're seeing. So I would say over the course of the last 5 years, we're actually raising more money in the area to put on some really strong programs that are happening.
And likewise for the Girl Scouts, you lost United Way funding?
We have in several of our United Ways. The funding model has changed for United Ways over the last 5 or 6 years. And so we've seen some success with individuals and private entities, the United Ways that are more outcomes driven. We, in some cases, made some conscious decisions to focus more on the program than on the analytics of the program. We know the value that Girl Scouting provides as a lifelong initiative, and while metrics can be collected and measured and reported, when it comes down to impacting programmatic time, we did make some conscious decisions to withdraw from some United Ways and others where their funding model did not align necessarily with some of the mission of the Girl Scout programming. We just discontinued those relationships.
Let's continue that. This is financial in nature in that you had, I believe, 8 camps at one time in the Girl Scouts of Central Illinois
Absolutely.
Council. You're cutting back to 4?
We now have 4, yes.
Was that a financial decision, or was that a use decision, or?
It was a combination of the two. We do track the usage numbers of scouts that would go to our camps, as well as families. And one thing that we were finding from a usage perspective is camping in general was down, but from a financial perspective, all of our properties were just about the same age, therefore in the same state of disrepair. And if we were really going to provide that preeminent leadership experience for girls where they were getting a great experience, we needed to target and focus our expenditures. We chose to do that at our Camp Tapawingo out in Metamora, where that is now our single destination resident camp. So for girls that visit us for a week-long overnight camping experience, they can participate at Tapawingo, where in the last several years we have been at near capacity for 9 weeks of camps, which is unheard of in childhood camping.
And there's a horse stable there as well.
There is a stable, there is a challenge course with a zip line and 22 high and low ropes elements, rock climbing wall. The aquatic center is getting a facelift this year, so it will have some programmatic elements added to it, as well as just some improvements and some compliance things that are done out there. So programmatically, we continue to invest in Camp Tapawingo, as well as sleeping accommodations. Girls, moms that are troop leaders, they aren't as comfortable platform tent camping as they used to be, and so we've added a variety of sleeping accommodations.
But that's the scouting experience.
It is,
I
but
was
there's also a
intense.
progression.
You were
Yes,
mentioning that.
there
yeah.
is a progression that we teach girls comfort levels in camping, and that first progression being that they stand inside and they look outside and they experience nature, and then we add different sensory elements as we go. So the final step of the outdoor camping experience will be that sleep in a tent, pitch your own tent, sleep in a platform tent with a rain fly. They'll get the full gamut of opportunities.
Go ahead. Did you want to add to
and
that?
I was just going to add to that. The Boy Scouts are kind of doing similar things, not necessarily in Central Illinois, and I'll talk in a second about the camp opportunities that we have, but we've nationally taken a look at all of the properties we have. We've come out with new standards that we need to meet, in order to operate a Boy Scout camp. Here in Central Illinois, we have a very committed group of volunteers that are constantly looking at the upgrade of camp. So we have Camp Ingersoll, which is over in London Mills, and that's our primary resident camp.
And just, I don't mean to interrupt, but just geographically speaking, London Mills, for those of you who don't know, is on the border of Fulton and Knox County. And actually, Knox County isn't in your council,
Correct.
but that's okay.
That's the Iowa Council, but we have a great relationship with the council out of Davenport. But so we're constantly working to increase that usage. So we'll do a lot of weekend programs. We have a core group of volunteers that are looking at some of the facility upkeeps and demands that are always a challenge. We're working on putting in an awesome water slide this summer that goes into our lake. It's taken about a year of solid work and planning to put in, but we're getting very excited about launching that. Our Cache Lake facility is a more remote facility up in Canada. You can only get there by boat in the Ontario area, and they go up for a whole week, and it's like living remote. But those properties also take maintaining as well.
And the Boyce Council owns that
Correct.
Cache Lake?
Yep. We actually sell that camp out every single year. We have a drawing in October of who wants to go, and by the end of that night, all of their slots are filled for the summer.
I want to go back to Camp Tapawingo because you have a water issue. You've been trying to tie into the Village of Metamora's water system for some time now. Have you had any success, any progress in that regard?
We have had no real progress. 2-3 years ago, that was the highest priority for us as a council, was to get city water to Camp Tapawingo, with the intent of building some different types of bunkhouse sleeping accommodations that would have housed enough girls that we felt sprinkling with a fire sprinkler system was necessary. When we continued to hit the roadblocks, we couldn't go through Black Partridge Park, we couldn't get some of the easements that we were looking at. It was cost prohibitive to do some directional boring. We had bids of between $1.4 and $2.1 million. That was just more than the council was prepared to spend to do that. So we revisited our long-range property plan, and we began to develop little villages of cabins where girls have access to an immediate escape, should it be needed, through a door or a window right next to the bunk. And so the water capacity has never been an issue. It was more the quality. The tannins are very high on the well that were out there, and so we would have orange sinks and orange toilets from the residue and the tannins that were in that water. But when it became apparent that we did not need the sprinkling, we revamped our intention for sleeping accommodations. It's not as high a priority as it once was. We are constantly still seeking the opportunity to get water there, but in a cost analysis where the return on investment would be there for the council.
Do you have a filtering system?
We do have a filtering system now. Yes, it's still not perfect, but it's a much greater improvement than what we had previously.
And then your other camps, Hudson, in Mahomet, et
Camp
cetera.
Pierce is at Hudson, Camp Kiwanis is at Mahomet, and then Camp Widgie is in Springfield. We use those for day camps. The Boy Scouts actually use Pierce quite often. We rent it to groups at ISU, but we do not operate a regular day camp, summer day camp there, or a resident camp. Mahomet, Camp Kiwanis, they do have a regularly staffed day camp for there through the summer. And the day camp at Camp Widgewagon, that is self-sustaining. They have for years won Best Local Camp, Best Local Day Camp, and they also operate at very high numbers.
And we will be actually using Camp Pierce for a weekend camping experience we'll do for Cub Scout families. And then we also, a couple other weekends during the year, we'll use the facility. We do a lot of service projects out there throughout the year to try to help Camp Pierce.
They absolutely do. We've had several Eagle Scout projects done out there. Thank you, Boy Scouts.
Oh, we're happy to help.
You have costs associated with these camps. Do they need to be supplemented? I mean, the fee that the scouts pay does not cover the cost of operation, is that correct?
Correct.
That's correct for us as well.
And you depend upon donors. I mean, how?
We do.
Where do you turn? I mean, do you individuals, corporations? We talked about the national level, but that's where the primary focus is individuals and
Sure.
corporations?
You know, we made a conscious decision several years ago to raise capital dollars so that the money that we can go to our donors for can be used for camperships and membership assistance. We have on several occasions gone to donors to ask them to fully fund an improvement, and we have been able to. The aquatic center improvements that we're making, for instance, was a $150,000 project. We did go to donors for those dollars, but yes, we do raise monies through individuals, grants, corporations for the sustainability, but our camps are not, they don't pay for themselves. So we subsidize that quite often. Most recently, we started doing different levels of camp cost. We publish in our program guide the actual cost to attend the camp, a middle of the road cost where we would be subsidizing 25%, for instance, and then the lowest amount that a girl can pay to attend a camp or her family could pay is about a 50% subsidized rate. So we understand that's part of the programming that comes along with Girl Scouts.
Similar to Ingersoll?
Yeah, so when we analyze all the camper costs, I mean, it's made very clear that the fee that they pay for the week only supplements a portion of what the facility truly costs to operate. And there's a couple other factors we look at. We also look at some of the other area camps as well, and we try to stay within the competition range. Pam, I don't know if you guys do that
Absolutely.
as well. In terms of local funding for camp projects, we do a lot of capital improvements. We'll work to identify those donors, corporations, grants. In terms of subsidizing the camp, each year, we do a lot of community fundraising to help offset all those costs. That way, our goal is to minimize the financial impact of families as best as we can. Pam's got cookies, we do the popcorn sale. That helps offset a big portion, not only for us, but for the local programs as well. And you'll see in the area a local pancake breakfast in Bloomington, and you'll see the Girl Scouts there as well selling cookies. And that money that troop is using is helping to offset even more costs.
Let's go back to the national level and talk about some things that have happened there. One is that the Mormon Church, which I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, was the largest sponsor of troops for Boy Scouting, has decided that they're going to start their own equivalent to the Scouting experience, which would mean a drop in the number of members in Boy Scouts. That's going to be primarily Utah. Have you seen any other evidence of that in the Midwest?
No, I mean, locally, we have a great relationship with our local stake in the LDS Church. We really value that relationship. So we fully anticipate seeing Cub Scouts and Boy Scout programs continuing in the area.
And there was was it the Kansas City diocese that?
Yes, the Bishop of the Diocese in Kansas City recently discontinued their relationship with the Girl Scouts. That has not had an impact in any of the 38 counties that we serve. We work very closely with the local Catholic diocese. The youth ministry is very supportive of Girl Scouts. We have troops in many large variety of churches, not just the Catholic Church, but throughout Central Illinois.
And I say, in terms of relationship with the Catholic Diocese of Peoria, each year we do a thing called the Catholic Mass, and that brings the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, American Heritage Girls together. And we give out the religious awards that the boys and girls worked on. So the Boy Scouts have a set of awards, the Girl Scouts have a set of religious awards, and it's presented by the bishop. We do that usually the first Sunday in February of each year. And last year the cathedral was packed full of scouting. So I think we have a great relationship with the Catholic Church.
And you don't have to go far from your office to get to
That
it.
is true. You just have to walk a few steps across the street.
Across the street.
On the national level, about 4 or 5 years ago, the Boy Scouts made some decisions. One was to allow boys who were gay. Then the next year it was adults. Now most recently in January of this year, it was transgender for boys only programs. There was a lot of media discussion about this. Did you see any impact in the WD Boys Council at all?
Locally, no. I mean, one of our goals is to always try to serve as many families, as many youth as possible in the area, and that's always our driving mission. You know, we have great market share. We serve 1 in 5 elementary age boys, and our model is that's not good enough. We're working on how to serve 1 in 4. So I would say in Central Illinois, minimal to no impact from the national media stage for the last few years. We're very proud of the relationships we have with our local sponsors, and we're very happy to see the growth in membership. And we're anticipating having another growth year in our membership this year as well.
For the Girl Scouts, for years and years, you used to reach into schools that might have had some socioeconomic needs to reach in and provide the Girl Scouting experience, whether that be daisies or what have you, to those who might not otherwise be able to afford it. Do you continue to do that?
We do continue to do that. Our largest outreach assistance is in our Peoria community. We have 1 staff member currently completely dedicated to going into school districts and delivering the Girl Scout program. We go into nearly every elementary school, almost every junior high, and we also operate in several of the high schools, and those are completely staff-led programs. We have, over the years, had to reduce the staff-led programming that we could do simply based on funding, but we still recognize the need in Peoria is great, and we continue to provide that program.
And a final thought is that when I was in Scouts, it was camping, it was cooking, it was that outdoor experience, and earning merit badges about the types of trees, etc. It's expanded greatly since then in terms of a lot of social issues. How are you addressing some of those issues?
Well, the outing part of what we do, outdoor education, is still a big part of the scouting program, but we've expanded beyond that. So the STEM program has really increased. Our merit badges actually have a career focus with it too. So there's 137, and I'll say in counting because every year they keep adding more, that are geared towards learning about different careers. Those are called the elective merit badges, not necessarily required to be an Eagle Scout. And there's, like I said, 137 of those where a kid can learn about welding or something like that.
And you need to look at issues like cyberbullying. I mean, every year it seems like there's a new type of social issue you have to address.
Absolutely. Girl Scouts added anti-bullying programming 4 or 5 years ago when it became apparent that there was a need. One of the premises of Girl Scouting is that girls speak on issues that are important to girls and that they advocate for others who can't advocate or speak for themselves. And so we teach girls to recognize how to deal with a bully, how to address with adults or parents when they are being bullied. And so, like Boy Scouts, we've also added STEM programming to expand on your typical badge opportunities.
And with that, thank you for the review of the situation for both Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts,
Thank you.
a century and more for each of
Correct.
the organizations. Thank you to Greg Voisey, the Director of Sales for the WD Boys Council of the Boy Scouts of America. Thank you for
Thank
joining
you.
us. And Pam Kovacevic, who is the CEO of the Girl Scouts of Central Illinois. Thank you both for being with us on At Issue. We'll be back next week with another edition of this program, this time looking at the situation of a growing concern in Central Illinois, that of child abuse and neglect. We'll have that discussion next time on At Issue.